scan the QR code, make sure that your parking is validated and you don't get a nice little bill in the mail. There's a lot of things that we want to get in the mail for Christmas. A bill from the parking garage is not one of those things. So please make sure to scan me out. We're going to go ahead and turn over to Tommy for our invocation and pledge. Really looking forward to today hearing from our very own Dave Daniels as he talks about the challenges of childhood cancer and the journey of that. So,
thank you guys all very much. Glad that you're here. I see that some of us were brave enough to get into the weather and make the trip downtown, and maybe some of us are working, but thank you for being here. If you guys would like to rise, we'll do an invocation. We'll follow that with our pledge of allegiance. Father, thank you for gathering us together as Rotarians and giving us an opportunity to stand shoulder to shoulder to do good work. From the tree campaign to the Christmas things that we do in our community, the Ring the Salvation Army Bell, all of the different service projects that we choose during the year. When we stop at the end of the year and look backwards, it's a really impressive amount of work that's gotten done. We thank you for the opportunity and the will to go out and do that to make our own community a better place. Thank you for these Rotarians here today, for the fabulous staff here that's prepared our meal for us, and for our speaker today that's going to talk about some very sensitive, difficult challenges for families in our community. Lord, thank you for all this. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of rain, for purple mountains' majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good brother from sea to shining sea. R-T-A-R-Y. That's the Bell's Rotary.
Good job, Harrison.
Thank you so much, Tommy. And to our guests, I always like to tell our guests, one of the things you can expect is you're going to sing. The reason why we're doing that is we actually have an acapella group that's going to be going around singing carols this year for Christmas. And we're still looking for volunteers to do that. It's just me right now. And it's very awkward for me to go and carol by myself. So please let me know. I think we've got some great singers out there. But very happy that you're here. For those guests, we're going to have Jennifer come up. We're going to come around the room. If you're a visitor today, please introduce yourself, your name, what you do, and what brings you to Rotary. I'm going to pass it over to you.
All right, over here we have John.
Hey everybody, I'm John. I'm doing tax consulting and I'm with Rotary Clinic, so I wanted to plug in the community about it. I'm Gary Farm, partner with Pierce Law Firm. I'm happy to be here today. As far as what brought me here, it was Bob Saunders' story that.
Good afternoon. My name is Heather Shanahan, and I am with Cap Trust, our business line lead for endowments and foundations. And along the theme of nonprofit, I also serve on the board of Children's Cancer Partners. So excited to be here and support Dan, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And we do have Adam Cobb. He is that's the third time. He was at the Christmas party as well as at the Green Chair Project. Adam, do you want to say hello to everyone? Hopefully next time he's up here at the beginning of the year, he'll be there.
Adam Cobb with New South Construction, here in the state, here in the city. So a Rotary member from past life, but yes, the visitor times 3. So thanks again for having me. Looking forward to it.
But for our guests here, I hope today we try to highlight in all of our meetings what our club is actively doing, like what's our heartbeat. And I hope that you find that our heartbeat is not only a heartbeat for the city of Raleigh, but also the state of North Carolina and what we do internationally through the Rotary Club from an international perspective. All right, we got a quick highlight from our Rotary Holiday Luncheon. If you enjoyed yourself at the luncheon, give me a round of applause, a whoop, some energy. Yeah, thank you so much for everybody that came. We had Eric Bismarck in the room now that provided us with some wonderful jazz music. And my hope was that it really felt like a Christmas party. We had an opportunity to come together, to connect, to reconnect, introduce family members, get to know each other a little bit more. So I hope that was accomplished. I know Maddie is online, so I want to say congratulations for winning the first annual tacky Christmas sweater competition. Hopefully, this is already plugged for next year when Tommy's leaving. Bring your tacky Christmas sweaters. Because I'm going to be bringing them next year, for sure. But we had a wonderful time. Thank you for everybody who came. For some of you guys who had to see my little daughter, Dallas, she was there. She was the best guest of all. And then we also highlighted our new officers for the 2026-2027 year. Very excited about the club that we've got coming in. Tommy and the board that's going to be assisting him. Look, you guys have been in pretty good hands this year with me, but you're in very, very good hands next year with Tommy and his board. So now we got a quick service update with Kevin. I know he's got the I think there's something what
I think there's something going on. Well, first, I'll start off with the easy one. Don't forget, every month we're still doing our monthly basket book drive. So if you're interested in helping us, you can bring books or you can have them delivered to Richard's house. But yes, Salvation Army. Major Joe's in the back of the room, and this is the busiest time of year for a lot of groups. A lot of us get busy this time of year, thinking about that special time of year and all the blessings in our lives. But there's a lot of families in our own hometown here in Wake County that could use that hand. And one thing I want to promote before I get to the bell ringing, Steve, you guys have all familiar with that. If you have a chance, you can donate some toys or clothing to the Salvation Army this week. That will severely help. 8,000 kids are counting on getting Christmas presents this year from the Salvation Army that we delivered actually next week. And so any help would be greatly appreciated. Now, bell ringing is off to a great start. Thank you guys for helping out. I think as of an hour ago, I checked, I've got 51 different Rotarians sign up or already rang. So hats off to you guys. My goal is to get that up to about 75. There's still some people out there that have probably got an email or a text from me that said, hey, you haven't signed up yet. And I will be continuing to communicate until you do. But this week, if you could help out, this is what I'm looking for. Tonight, and Major Joe, we may shut down early because of the weather. So there is some shifts later tonight available. Tuesday, tomorrow, 6 p.m., Wednesday, 3, 5, and 6. Thursday, I'm looking for somebody at 2, 5, or 6 p.m. Friday, 5:30 till 7. And then Saturday, there's several openings. So if you can help out, really appreciate you signing up, because that's going to save guys like me from having to go out there and fill those slots, which I'm willing to do. I in particular want to recognize a few people, though. Adam Solo, who I thought was going to be here. He's one of our newer members. He's not here. Shake, who just came in. Reagan and Sedlin have really stepped forward at the rank a lot of hours already. I appreciate that. But Adam had this idea. Adam's a new member. I wish is there a picture of Adam? That's right. Okay, there it is. Adam had this idea. He's just fallen in love with Rotary. And so he texted his friends, from all over the country, actually all over the world. He's from Ghana. And he said, hey, I'm out here ringing the bell. And they didn't believe him, so he had to send pictures of himself with several Rotarians to say that I'm doing this more than once. And he challenged them to spend on him money. Well, as of last night, he told me he's already gotten $50 from his friends to put in the bucket. So it's an interesting approach, but if you guys want to do the same thing, tell your friends that, they don't come by our Walmart, they could Venmo you money and maybe put it in our kettle. That'd be a great idea. Dress warmly, the equipment's all there. As a reminder, if you've not been out there this year, it's all right inside the door next to the vending machine, the Pepsi machine, except for the kettle. If it's full, it's going to be behind customer service. If you're the first one in the morning, it'll be there by the vending machine. And that's it. I look forward to reading with several of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you know, the bell ringing is something that we look forward to every year, and also because we're doing it the entire month of November, it gives us an opportunity. I know sometimes we're not able to make service projects that maybe meet on a weekend or whatnot because of conflicting schedules or whatnot. This is an easy lift for you to go out there, ring the bell, help the Salvation Army out, and I don't think there's anybody in this room that would say that the connection of talking with somebody during that hour of ringing the bell, you get some great friendships out of it. So please make sure, but I think that, what's the hope is that everybody would serve around 6 shifts, is that right? 6 shifts. So we'd love 100% participation, that'd be one, but if you're serving, try to jump on that 6 shifts if you can. And then we wanted to have Eric and Jennifer come up. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about, there was a service project out in Western North Carolina, working with the YMCA and building up some different bridges and whatnot. So we had some volunteers from that, and they wanted to provide an update.
All right, so this weekend, Eric and I were out in Black Mountain building this pedestrian bridge at the Black Mountain YMCA.
Blue Ridge is, it's called the Blue Ridge Assembly, and it's a conference center. I think it's, in normal times, it's only operating because of $35 million worth of damage that this suffered there. It's only operating at 40% capacity, as I understand it, but when it operates at full capacity, can house, up to 1,000 people for kind of a conference retreat center. When we were there was a Girl Scout there along with us.
Yeah, so this weekend, we were able to meet other Rotarians in the Raleigh area, which I thought was really rewarding. And it was my first time ever doing anything like this. So it was cold, but like Greg, one of the leaders there at the Y, he said this was just one step forward in coming back from everything that the storm did, but over this bridge, there'll be thousands of steps that will be taken. So from on the top left, you'll see there was no bridge. And then it took about 10 hours and about 11 of us to build it. So if you've never done a project or anything like that, I do recommend that you drag someone out there with you, a family member, a spouse, a friend, and do something uncomfortable, because today I can say I did it and I'm glad I went and got a little uncomfortable, and it turned out to be a great time. So go do something that you've never done to make an impact that will last over 85 years. The bridge that was there before this one was there for 85 years. So this one will definitely outlast all of us.
I just wanted to follow up with a couple of things. This is one, like sort of a down payment on the big effort that our district is undertaking this year, that Lisa Higginbottom, our district governor, is focusing on, is for our district to help Western North Carolina region. And so, this is one quick thing, and what we did was we decided to try to recruit volunteers for this small project from within Area 9, all the Raleigh clubs. So there are members from West Raleigh, North Raleigh, and from our club that all joined together, and it was good to make friends from different clubs. And meanwhile, I wanted to let you know that there are a lot of other things going on, including that our district received a $32,000 grant from our Rotary zone that's going to be matched by somebody in Black Mountain. And then that $70-something thousand is going to be used to repair a bunch of homes in the Black Mountain area that were damaged. And the zone has a boots on the ground requirement, so there'll probably be a call coming out for some help with that. And then there's also plans coming up for potentially working on some habitat houses in Ash County. So a lot going on with
our efforts when we're in the east and help out our friends in the east.
Thank you, Gary. Sitting there, y'all know I spent my life in Western North Carolina until I moved here back in March. And I saw the destruction of the, I went up to Old Fort that morning and I cried to see it half the town was wiped out. And Western North Carolina is such a big hit. And to see the district get involved in something like this, as well as my own club there, they've raised over $100,000 in donations coming from all over. One Rotarian had moved from New Jersey, reached out to his club, and they sent $40,000. And they've used it for small things that people didn't get reimbursed for, like a washing machine, a dishwasher, a dryer, things that they needed to put in the cult. So the Corps of Engineers that built a bridge to connect 9 homes that didn't have any way to get to their house. But everybody has reached out to help, and I appreciate the district getting involved. And people like Linda, who told me that she went to Asheville this year. And so I hope people will understand they still need help along the path. But we also need people to come to Western North Carolina. It's those places are back in operation. So if you're thinking about doing something you really want to help, go to Western North Carolina. Be a big help. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for showing up, the Rotary Club of Raleigh, the other Raleigh clubs. Hopefully, I'm excited that this is something we're going to continue making an impact on, because I know with anything, we live in such a fast-paced life. You can easily forget about just recently, that all the damage that happened, and people that are still trying to get back to normal. And so it's great that we're able to help out that. Oh, yes, the new member breakfast. I wanted to highlight this. You should have, if you are a new member, you should have received an email from Tommy inviting you to an upcoming breakfast that's going to be on January 7th at 9 o'clock at North State Bank office, in my office off of Blue Ridge. We've done this before. We did this once. If you can see a picture there where we met at Big Ed's. Big Ed's was a great spot, but it gets loud in there. So we wanted to move it to a little bit more of a quiet space so we can have an opportunity to hear from our new members, what you do, what your family like, things like that. Talking to Tommy before the meeting, how many people were sick? How many?
Yeah, I think we've got 21 or 22 total members committed at this point, which kind of, I think, illustrates the drive for this kind of event. Harrison's theme this year is everything matters, but next year we'll probably be talking a lot about relationships matter and closeness and connectivity matters. So this is a step towards that, and I think just everybody's responded very positively. If you haven't already RSVP'd, if you come, you'd like to join us, please do that. We'll take your RSVP up till the day before, so don't feel like you're under any crunch. But we're going to serve you breakfast if you come, and it's going to be a great time to get to know these new members, both personally and professionally. They're going to share about what they do. They're also going to share about their families and who they are. So look forward to seeing you guys there, or even if you're a proposed member, come on out.
That's right. Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, if you're a proposed member or thinking about membership, this is a great opportunity for you to connect and hear from others. So yes, thank you so much, Ty. All right, now moving on to John Cates for fundraiser update. John.
Thank you, President Harrison. It's great to be here. We haven't talked about fantasy football all fall because I want to keep focus on the tree campaign. But we're heading into the final stretch of fantasy football. And just want to show you who's in the playoff race. And Mike Brennan has been leading this charge most of the year. He is a lot for playoffs. Bob Sanders and I are tied for second place, and we're battling as we speak. And the winner is going to get second, and the next one will get third. We'll have to play again next week. So, and then I think the next three have a possibility: Tom, Weston, and Matt. But Matt's got a little edge in that he has one more win, and it looks like he's having a good weekend. So we'll see. So that's the fantasy football update. Everybody's going to wonder, why is John talking about fantasy football? We'll have a champion in a week or two. We've not sold many raffle tickets for the state dinner. I imagine that sales will really take off after the first of the year. This is to win a $250 gift certificate for steak dinner at the Oak Steakhouse for around Valentine's Day. Super prize, the money, all the money you spend is going towards the tree campaign, so keep that on the radar. I want to thank, first of all, the team captains. They've been helping Charles, Chuck, and James, have been doing a great job. My goal is to get to 50,000 by the end of the year. That gives us a couple of weeks. I want to thank Charles and Jim Graham and David and Pinnacle Bank for committing to be a sponsor. We haven't gotten the money yet, but I think when we get that, that's going to put us close to the 50. The campaign's going really well, so thank you guys so much. I'm selling t-shirts. So you can see I wear one proudly. And I'm giving t-shirts to all my kids, and that's 10 of them. So that's 10 gifts that I can check off already. So if you'd like to get a t-shirt or a gift for Christmas, come see me. If you sign up today or before next week, I'll gift bag it for you, and you won't have to do a thing other than pay for the gift. How easy could that be? Yesterday, Chuck and James and I helped Dave from Trees from the Triangle plant about 12 trees at the governor's mansion. This is an extension of what we're doing with the Oak City 250 campaign. We're gonna plant a couple of oak trees at the governor's mansion, but Governor Stein said, hey, would you guys be willing to plant some additional trees besides the oak? I said, yes, the Rotary Club will do that. So yesterday we planted 12. We're going to have another planting opportunity after the first of the year sometime, and we will open it up and try to get more volunteers there. The plan will be sometime in the spring to have an event at the governor's mansion where we celebrate the America 250 tree. We dedicated it similar to what we did in Oakwood Cemetery. So we'll give you more information on that as we go. So it's not too late to help. We're going to really crank up after the first of the year because we'll be in 2026 and people will start thinking about America 250 more. So Charles is here, James is here, Chuck is here, I'm here. If you have somebody that needs to talk about oak trees and what they make, how they make a difference in our city, sign us up, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, John. You are the little Johnson Bunny on street campaign, so thank you so much for it. And it's been great for our club being able to be highlighted by WRAL. I know that he's got some things to work with the mayor of Raleigh and some of their committees and whatnot, and then especially going into next year with us having the event at the governor's mansion is going to be awesome. So, and thank you to everyone who has committed. And again, one of the things that we want to make sure is work with your captains. If you've identified someone that you would think might be might provide a sponsorship, but you're not the extrovert that wants to go out and sell a sponsorship. We've got people who will talk to people, so just don't let that be a hurdle. All right, Shakima, we got a Raleigh update.
Hello, everybody. My name is Shakima McLean, and I'm just gonna give a life update. We are working on sending some students to Raleigh. The Raleigh Leadership Program. Okay. If you don't know what Raleigh is, again, it's the Raleigh Youth Leadership Academy Program. And what we are doing in April is a 3-day camp. So again, I'm begging right now, because applications are due. I'm begging, if you know any 11th graders that would like to learn about leadership, mentorship, and service, already have that experience and want to advance in that, and you know, enjoy my other teams in the same age and to have fun. This camp will be out in Oxford, North Carolina. It's legal sponsored. We have opened this for at least 2 so far, so please, I'm begging. I don't care if you grab an 11th grader off the streets, they don't have to be affiliated with Rotary. We would like those applications in as soon as possible. Again.
I will highlight that, loose urgency around this, January first is the deadline, currently we have no applicants, we usually sponsor 2 to 3. So I know that, there are some people in here that know a lot of the graders, so just have this conversation, see if anybody's interested, it's a great opportunity, and everybody that that comes back from those, say that Raleigh was wonderful, so. Raffle time. Tommy, I got you with food in your mouth, it's perfect. Got a quick raffle this morning and then we'll head on to our future presentation.
It's definitely not because I took a second cookie. All right, very good. We have green and yellow tickets today, so if you get your tickets out, let's get a random draw from a impartial guest today. How's that? Up high so she can see the colors. All right, we've got a yellow ticket, so if you've got a green ticket, sorry. 144-006.
Hey! Wonderful. All right, and we also have happy dollars. Charlie, you got some time for some happy dollars, sir? Some great games this past weekend. Some good basketball, good football.
You got it all. Somebody's happy today, thank you, President Harrison. Here, Kevin in the back. Yes. Hello, Bill.
I'm not gonna say anything about football. I'll wait. But $5, first grandson was born the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so this is the first time I've seen you guys all together, so. Little Beckett was born, and that's 2 grandchildren born in 2025, so couldn't be happier, more than.
We were getting down.
I'm bringing money up and Linda in a minute, I'll have good change. I've always wanted to try something, called a Go Ruck event. I don't know if you guys ever been to this stuff, but it's a military organization. You wear a backpack, like 30 pounds, and you go out and hike around. And, so I got there and you're supposed to hike, I don't know, several miles, a bunch of miles. We got there and I was ready to go and I've been practicing and he was like, all right, the guy running the special forces guy says, all right, we're going out for 3 miles. I was like, all right, I've been practicing 4, I ought to be all right. It's like, so you ladies and smaller gentlemen can grab 40-pound bags, which is what I had. And he said, you bigger gentlemen, 200 pounds up, you grab 60s. And I started putting my backpack down. He's like, no. So it was about 100 pounds. And so I carried that for the 3 miles. And then they brought us back. Just Kirk Warner style, was beat the snot out of us with PT for a while. So it's it starts at 8 p.m. and goes to 1 or 2 in the morning to honor veterans. And we had a great a veteran with them to tell their story about the veteran. Just a beautiful event, really cool thing. So I always wanted to do it. To finally get it checked off my list, and I had a blast. Hey, if you guys want to do it, hook up and go find another one.
Here's $5 for Tommy's chiropractic visit. Well done, Drew. Also, I'd be remiss, I missed last week since we didn't have it, the Buckeyes knocking out the Wolverines once and for all again. And for our tune-up game, we rolled over and let Indiana win with the Buckeyes, but we're gonna get them on the rematch. Guarantee that. $5.
$5 guaranteed. Thank you, Kirk. Anybody else? Okay.
That's right.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, President Harrison.
Thank you as always, Charlie. All right, well, we don't have any birthdays leading up into our upcoming meetings, but we do have an anniversary in 2 days, I believe. It's Charles, you and your wife's anniversary. How many? 19 years? That's right. Happy anniversary to you guys. Yeah, that's awesome. Upcoming meetings, December 10th, which is our next meeting, December 10th of this week, this Wednesday, we have a board meeting. It is open to anybody in the club that wants to join. They'll be meeting at my office. We can send you those details. Lunch will be catered. But if you want to join virtually, we have a Zoom option as well, and then you can provide those details. December 15th, we have Clark Ryan He'll be coming in, a great guy that I've known for a while. He's the founder of Global Co-working, is an entrepreneur, does great things in the community. December 22nd and the 29th, we have no meetings for Christmas and New Year's. And then we'll be jumping into 2026 with a bang, with some exciting events. So with that, we're going to move on to our featured presentation. Very excited to have Dan Daniel here, member of our club, member of Rotary for a long time. Dan is the Director of Advancement for the Children's Cancer Partners, a nonprofit focused on children with cancer and their families who live in North and South Carolina. Dan joined CCP in 2023 and is focused on building awareness and support for its mission across North and South Carolina. His previous work experience includes leadership roles at Landmarks for Families in Charleston Parks and Preservancy, both in Charleston, South Carolina, and the Tammy Lean Center in Raleigh, North Carolina. Before moving into the nonprofit sector in 2015, Dan ran a successful wealth management practice at Northwestern Mutual here in Raleigh for about 15 years. He also has 18 years of experience in corporate sales in the banking, industrial gas, and telecommunications sectors. He has been a Rotarian since 2020 and is married to the Reverend Tracy Daniel, and together they have 5 adult children and 4 granddaughters. Blessed man. There you go, brother. Dan holds his BS in economics for the University of North Carolina at Greensboro and an MBA for the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. We all make mistakes. Just kidding. Come on up. Very excited to have Dan to come and speak to us today.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be here with you today. I want to share with you some aspects of childhood cancer, which may be new to many of you. We are blessed in this club to have actually 2 members that are survivors of childhood cancer. And I've asked both of them to make sure not to correct me if I say anything that's wrong. Thank you. As Harrison said, Children's Cancer Partners covers all of North and South Carolina. In that footprint, somewhere between 600 and 700 children are going to be diagnosed with cancer this year. Childhood cancer, fortunately, is relatively uncommon. Those of us in this room are of an age, or will be at an age, that we stand about a 1 in 10 chance of developing adult cancer. For children, it's much less common, about 1 in every 290. And that's good news, that it's that rare. The challenge, though, is because it's less common, there are far fewer places where a child can be treated. In North and South Carolina, there are about 200 treatment centers for adults. And almost every city of any size has a facility where an adult can get treatment. In the entire Carolinas, there are only 10 hospitals that treat children. And none of those hospitals treat all forms of cancer, and those 10 hospitals together don't treat all forms of childhood cancer. So about 15% of children will actually end up having to leave the Carolinas to go to a hospital that treats their particular type of cancer. This is where the hospitals in our 2 states are located. In South Carolina, they sort of follow the I-26 corridor. So you've got Greenville, Columbia, and Charleston. In North Carolina, they sort of follow the I-40 corridor. You've got East Carolina, Greenville, and then Duke, Carolina, in the Triangle. There are 2 hospitals in Charlotte, one in Winston-Salem, and then one in Asheville. So if you happen to live in one of those counties, access and treatment is not too difficult. But look at the places in the state where there is a desert of treatment. If you live down in the Cape Fear area, Wilmington, if you're in the PD area in Myrtle Beach, you've got a 2 to 2.5 hour drive just to access care. If you live way up in northeastern North Carolina, say in Dare County, you're actually gonna end up going to Norfolk. It's much closer than any hospital in North Carolina. If you're way over in the eastern part, western part of North Carolina, you're gonna end up going to Atlanta. It's much closer than going to Asheville. But for those people who live in rural counties, your child is 3 times more likely to be late diagnosed, be misdiagnosed, have incomplete treatment, or have a relapse and die of cancer. And that really has nothing to do with the quality of the care. It has everything to do with being able to access care. And that's where we step in. Children's Cancer Partners was started with the goal of making sure that every family has equitable access to care, regardless of where they live, where they're getting the treatment, how long that treatment lasts, and without regard to a family's socioeconomic standing. We have only 3 requirements to be eligible for our program. 1, the child has to be diagnosed before their 18th birthday. 2, they have to live in North or South Carolina. And 3, they have to be referred to us by a pediatric oncology hospital. Other than that, we will support any family. The way we do that is by providing financial resources and then providing ongoing community and compassion. Once a family comes into our program, we will stay with that family until they turn 21, or the child turns 24. And we do that because we know that relapses are unfortunately uncommon. Complications from cancer are not uncommon, but mostly because childhood cancer is one of the leading causes of families slipping into poverty. 70% of families will lose half their income because of the child getting cancer. If you're a 2-income family, someone's leaving the workforce to be with that child during their treatment and following their treatment. If you're a single parent, it is not uncommon for your income to go to 0. And since childhood cancer treatments can last anywhere from a few weeks to many months, getting back into the workforce is a huge challenge. And so our commitment to a family is we will walk with you until that child turns 21. To dive a little deeper, all of our families come to us as a referral from the hospital. So when the family shows up, the child's admitted for surgery, all those hospitals have a social worker whose job it is to connect the family with both the internal resources of the hospital, but also the external resources of the community. Think Ronald McDonald House, right? They're going to get a flyer from Ronald McDonald House that says, if you need a place to stay, call this number. Well, we're in that package. They're going to get a flyer that says, here's what we do. And we will reimburse families for their mileage. We'll reimburse all their meals away from home. We'll reimburse lodging. The one McDonald House is full. We'll reimburse the cost of daycare for kids that may be back at home. And again, we'll do that for as long as the child is in treatment, without regard to where they go. So we have children right now that are in Philadelphia, in New York City, in Austin, Texas, California, at St. Jude's. It doesn't matter where those families are, we offer those reimbursements. That's how we initially get connected to families. One of the things that we strive to do is to make that reimbursement process simple. We encourage families to enroll in bank draft. will accept receipts. They can take a picture of the receipt with their cell phone, text it to our social worker, and we're making reimbursements within 48 hours. Because families that live close to hospitals, or families that are well resourced, or families that have really good support systems, tend to opt out of being referred to us. The 2,500 children that we're supporting today tend to skew lower income, skew single parent, skew more rural. And for those people, those reimbursements are absolutely vital. When that child is discharged back home, I said, we stay with those families. We coordinate peer-to-peer family groups so families can connect to other families that have gone through this. We host virtual family nights where we have families coming together to play bingo via Zoom, Twister via Zoom, you know, all things that families can do when their child is recovering and can't leave the house. We have the in-person events for that. And then, as I said, we'll provide ongoing emergency assistance, helping people with rent, utilities, car payments, when their budget is just stretched too thin. And then we connect them with other agencies that provide those kind of services longer term. And then for families whose child loses their battle with cancer, we provide grief counseling and we help those families with finding expenses. This is just to give you an order of magnitude. This year we're on track to reimburse something between 2.5 and 3 million miles of travel. Every one of those hospitals has a Ronald McDonald House, but every one of those Ronald McDonald houses is full. Chapel Hill, for example, has a 98.5% occupancy rate. It don't take reservations. So the likelihood that when you need it, they have a room available is pretty small. And so we'll reimburse lodging until that room becomes available, if one of them is available. And you can see we're reimbursing something around 40,000 meals for family members while the child's going through treatment. One of the things that attracted me to this organization is how local our impact is. I mentioned we're currently supporting 2,500 children. Those children live in 142 of the 146 counties that make up the Carolinas. And when someone makes a donation to us, we do our best to keep that money local. We're one of the few organizations where someone says, hey, I want to make a donation and I want my money to stay in Harding County. That's great. We've got enough families in Harding County, they can stay there. I know this title is probably too small for you to read, but I wanted to give you a sense of where our top 10 counties are. Wayne County has more children with cancer being supported by our organization than any other county in northern South Carolina. We are currently supporting 170 children that live in Wayne County. It's an order of magnitude larger than our next county, which is Mecklenburg. What's really interesting, if you think about why Wayne County, I'm not a doctor, but the oncologist will tell you that most children have not lived long enough for the environment to be a factor in their cancer. So you don't see a lot of lung cancer, right? Because they haven't taken up smoke. You don't see a lot of environmentally induced cancers in children. And so it really has less to do with what's in the city or county they live in. Really has more to do with the average age of the people in that county. Wake County is one of the youngest counties
in the two states because of all the people moving here. And because of that, they tend to have more children. And because of that, we have a greater percentage. Interestingly, Onslow County, which is our seventh or eighth largest county, Onslow is the youngest county in the two states. And that's because of the military base. The average age in Onslow County is about 28 years old. It's crazy. Compare that to Brunswick County, which is where I moved from most recently, which is now the oldest county in the two states, the fastest growing county in the two states, and the average age is 62. I'm embarrassed to say I was the one who helped pull that average up. But you can see, we'll reimburse, and last year we reimbursed almost $80,000 of travel expenses for kids who live in Wake County. You might say, well, why was it so high given that Duke and Chapel Hill are just down the road? Well, it is, but if you live in eastern Wake County, and you've got to drive across the county into Orange County to get to Chapel Hill, that's still a 50 or 60 mile drive. And if you're going back and forth several times a week, it adds up. But the other thing that bumps that really up, say compared to Mecklenburg, is we've had a number of children this year who are having to go out of state treatment. And that really blows the number up. There are a number of ways that people can support us. We've got many volunteer activities, some of them are event driven. We also distribute in-kind donations across the two states. So we have volunteer opportunities. We are really appreciative when people do a third-party fundraiser. So, for instance, we've got a family down in Charleston that every year does a golf tournament to celebrate their daughter who survived childhood cancer. The money they raise, they donate to us. So if you have an event that you do every year, and you'd like to incorporate a charitable aspect to it, we'd love to talk to you about that. Same thing with an event, maybe if you're a company that does a employee event every year to build team morale, if you'd like to incorporate a charitable aspect to that, we'd love to talk to you. We have a school-based fundraising program called Kids and Lids. It's designed to help teach kids about being empathetic to other kids in their school that may be going through cancer. It addresses the bullying that frequently accompanies child coming back with a bald head or maybe a cord. And I'm happy to talk to you about that. And then we have an Amazon wish list you can access through our website for the kinds of supplies that families typically are having to forego getting because of the expenses of the child's cancer. We're all over social media, and we'd love for you to check it out there. I've also got brochures that returning your badge. I'd be really happy if you would take one of those with you. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have. Yes, sir.
Well, it's beautiful what you're doing. So thank you. It's working. Is Medicaid, does that cover pregnant if children are under Medicaid?
So the question was, are children covered by Medicaid? And the answer is yes. So if the family is uninsured, the child is immediately covered by Medicaid. And in North Carolina, the hospital has the duty to enroll that child when they're admitted. South Carolina is a little less helpful. They hand the packet of information to the family and say good luck. And so our social workers actually spend a lot of time with families, particularly in South Carolina, helping them get enrolled in Medicaid. Medicaid, for all of its employers, actually does a really good job addressing the cost of cancer for children. In fact, for Medicaid families, it's the transportation cost that is more frequently the determinant of whether that child survives than is the cost of the treatment. But thank you for asking. Yes, ma'am. So the question was, does childhood cancer differ from adult cancer? This is where I start treading the line of pretending I know what I'm talking about. Many childhood cancers will also show up in adults. Brain tumors, Wills tumors, leukemia, lymphoma. But there are certainly types of cancers, particularly those that tend to be environmental caused, like lung cancer, it's pretty rare for children. The number one diagnosis is acute lymphoma and leukemia, and that's about 30% of all childhood cancers. Yes, sir.
And do they, if you're a leukemia child patient in North Carolina, I mean, are there good treatment options at Duke or Chapel Hill or places like that, or do they tend to need to go to St. Jude's or?
No, most of the blood cancers can be treated right here. The ones that typically require out-of-state travel, brain tumors. There's a therapy for treating brain tumors deep in the brain when they're inoperable, called proton radiation therapy. Please don't ask me to explain, but it requires a really expensive piece of equipment that does not exist anywhere in North or South Carolina. So if you have one of those brain tumors, you're going to Philadelphia or you're going to Austin. Most of the time when there's an out-of-state travel and it's not a brain tumor, it's because whatever the diagnosis was, the treatment failed. And so now they're having to go for a research study or some experimental treatment that's not unknown. And that's going to go, for instance, St. Jude's. No one goes to St. Jude's for primary cancer treatment. You go to St. Jude's when the first treatment is failed. So that tends to be what causes the out-of-state travel. Yes, ma'am. So the question was, our cuts to Medicaid, the impact on rural hospitals. So there's a huge impact. None of those rural hospitals treat cancer. And so there's not going to be a direct impact for most families on the closure of rural hospitals when it comes to their cancer treatment. It'll be hugely impactful for primary treatment or treatment of the thousands of other things that kids and adults get. But it's not likely to have a huge impact on their cancer treatment. Yes, sir.
Do you have said no to families or ensure are you help what abilities to be for fundraising?
So the question was, do we have to say no? In the 24 years that we've been in existence, we've never had to say no. But I will tell you that it's only because of the generosity of the people who live in North and South. Childhood cancer is growing at about 3% a year. Not because it's more common, but because we're getting better at diagnosing it early. And more people are moving from rural areas to urban areas where there are more pediatricians that are likely to catch it quickly. So our client base has been growing pretty steady at 3 to 5% a year. In order to keep up with that, we have to continue to grow our plan. We're entirely funded philanthropy. We get no federal funding, no state funding. None of the hospitals support us, because they're busy supporting themselves. So yes, it's an ongoing challenge. Yes.
That was sort of related to my question, so most diagnoses come from pediatricians, so how do you typically find, because children generally are the healthiest creatures, and you look at health.
Okay. So the question was, how do our kids find out they have cancer? It's one of the, so children, particularly very young children, are really bad about telling us they don't feel good, that something doesn't feel right. And parents, unless they have a particular sensitivity to look for it, might easily mistake my tummy hurts. Right? And for that reason, almost every time a child is diagnosed, it's already in stage 3 or stage 4. We do no screening for childhood cancer. You think about that. We're all at an age, right, where there are things we get done every year or every couple of years to look for cancer. There is no screening for childhood cancer. So it usually is a pediatrician or an oncologist, not an oncologist, an eye doctor, who during an exam sees something that is that doesn't look right. And they send them to a hospital for diagnosis. Some tumors, like a Wills tumor, which can be a growth, become obvious enough that a parent might see that on their own. But generally, it's a pediatrician or an eye doctor, which again is one of the reasons why children who live in rural areas have such poor outcomes, because there's so fewer pediatricians practicing in rural areas. And so by the time the child is able to say, I'm really sick, parent notices that this child is really sick, they're already at stage 4. Yes, sir.
Why an eye doctor? Why an eye doctor? What is an eye doctor picking up?
So the question is why eye doctor? So when an eye doctor looks in your eye, they're looking also at the nerve that goes back into the brain. And one of the top 5 cancers for kids are related to their eyes. They're either tumors that are forming right behind the eye or in the eye. And so the eye doctors will pick that up. So I'm getting the cane.
Oh, yeah, I think you're like, so how as parents, how can we make sure that we're helping to watch for cancer symptoms in our kids?
What the oncologists have told us is that you should always ask a pediatrician to do a blood test.
Do a what?
A blood test.
Blood test.
And what is the blood test? Is it just generalized
Mhm.
looking for
I mean, cancer markers are going to be carried
any
out.
cancer marker? Okay.
Not any cancer, but again, the most common cancer is ALL, leukemia lymphoma, and that's going to show up like that.
So what age? What blood test? What age?
This is the first year that we actually had a child who was born with cancer in the Carolinas. There is no age between birth and 18 that we're not supporting families. Thank you again. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much. All the great work that your organization does and partnering and walking along with these families and providing dignity to them. I know you've talked with a lot of Rotary clubs. I'm wondering what other Rotary clubs provide you, but nothing as good as the Rotary Club of Raleigh. Wait, Tesmo.
I will confess, this is my second Rotary motto. This one's way better.
There you go. All right, Rotary, thank you for being here again today. If you'll please stand, we'll leave the 4-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First, these are the truth. Second, is it bears to all concern. Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships. Fourth, will be beneficial to all concerned. You're dismissed.
Bill?